Okay, sorry for the wait, guys. College is over, finals are over. It's a beautiful day outside, which is why today I'll be looking at Wii Sports Resort, back on the Nintendo Wii. We are now closing this Wii series off with one of the more popular Wii Sports games. I know I failed to mention games like Wii Fit, but when the time comes, I'll go back to a couple games that I missed out on. Yeah, at this point, Nintendo had pretty much lost control over the use of motion controls. Just about all of their games in their franchise milked the idea of motion controls and targeted strictly for families. There was a new found of technology brought from Nintendo called the Wii Motion Plus, an expansion added to the normal Wii remote to pull off motion controls more accurately. Frankly, this is something that should have been made from the very beginning on the Wii's lifespan, but better late than never, I suppose. When it came out in 2009 along with a copy of Wii Sports Resort, consumers were given this monstrosity of what we view as the prototype of the Motion Plus add-on. Not just the box that stuck out the controller, but the condom-flavored skin that's wrapped around the remote. It's very awkward at first, but the skin does help the player with a nice tight grip. I'm sorry, that was a little explicit of me, let me just throw that away. If you want to get your hands on the Motion Plus controller, Wii remotes have it built into the original Wii remote with no additional cost. I'll give the add-on some slack and praise it for at least the fact that it does work, makes Wii Sports Resort enjoyable right off the bat, and hopefully we'll see how these games hold up. Let me get this out of the way and say that for a Nintendo Wii title, this game looks great. This and Super Mario Sunshine are the two Nintendo games I immediately think of when it comes to taking place in the summer. The crystal clear blue water, the hazy weather effects, it's all here. The best part is having to play so many of the sports on this island. This is known as Woohoo Island, and the longer you play most of these sports, the more familiar these landmarks can be. Woohoo Island is an area very popular with the games you play there to the point where it actually feels like a resort. It's so popular that it got itself a stage in Mario Kart 7 and Smash Bros. For Wii U. Now before I start talking about the games given to us here, I'd like to mention how selecting them works. Firstly, while it does look like there's 12 sports you can play, there are actually further categories of how you want to play that sport. So for example, there is only one selection of Frisbee, but the games available for it involves playing catch with a dog or some target practice. With this, you are definitely getting your money's worth. Now the price goes in the $20 range, so consider yourself having a much better time if you pay for it. Secondly, you may notice that golf and bowling are back from Wii Sports. Kind of figured they wanted to bring back the more popular games to this. I'm not going to go into too much detail of them, with the exception that they play just as well as they did previously, with a few extra maps. Tennis was brought back as well in the form of table tennis, a bit worried at first assuming that it was the same game from Wii Play, but it's similar to field tennis from Wii Sports. A little more confined here, but now you are focusing on one player at a time. Now that those games are out of the way, I have 9 games left to talk about. Swordplay is one of my favorites for the simple fact that I can whack my opponents with the weapon. I don't think I had a game as rewarding as this one, though that's probably because the games are more diverse here, while feeling like a simple arcade 3D beat-em-up. I think that's a good way of putting it. Wakeboarding lets you ride around the coast. If you jump up with the Wii remote, you can pull off tricks to earn more points. Just make sure you do not crash when landing. Oddly, I don't have much of an opinion for this one. I guess it's a pretty simple game, but it's fun. It's probably in the middle of the road for me. I think there's just better games to play in. Frisbee. I remember hating this one the first time I played it. However, seeing how this game plays out, I guess you can call this air golf. You need to follow the wind direction and throw it towards the target. At times, it's fine. Other times, I either swang too far or was not in the correct angle. Precision's the key, and I still never got it. Archery uses the nunchuck, and you have to aim your bow towards the target with the Wii remote and shoot with the Z button. Similar to billiards and the fishing game from Wii Play, you have to position your arm right to grab enough distance. But I think the nunchuck makes it feel slightly more comfortable, but my wrist was still cramping over this one. I still managed to do well in the first couple of targets, so at least I have a reason to go back to this game. Next up is basketball, the fan favorite of all the newcomers. This is probably played most with families for its accessibility. If you are jumping in the living room while playing this game, you are probably more dedicated to believe that this still counts as exercising. Otherwise, you can just throw the ball while sitting on your couch. Of all the sports given to me here, none has confused me more than canoeing. You use the Wii remote as a paddle and move depending on where you use it. Sometimes I didn't raise the paddle high enough, resulting in failure. The weirdest part was how I played. I was supposed to reach the goal in time, but failed to do that. The second time I played, I nailed it. I guess I'm only mentioning this because that change in my gameplay was never that staggering before. Power cruising. At first glance, it looks like a knockoff of the wakeboarding game. It focuses more on racing than steady increase in points. I like this one more because of it, and the fact that you can race with a second player is something I enjoy much more here. However, I do not enjoy much of these games as I do with cycling. Ah yes, this is my favorite one to play here, bar none. It's one of the most physically exhausting ones, which I thought fit well with the setting. Use the Wii Remote and Nunchuck to cycle towards the end of the course, and there is a plenty of them. Your goal is not to be in first place, but rather how far ahead you can make it there, and the way you get there is such a journey. Excuse me, pardon me, coming through. Yeah, haha! I think my favorite part of cycling is the environment you are racing through. There are so many iconic areas on this island that I would call this the best sport to show off Woohoo Island, but then I realized we have one more sport, air sports. Well, first off, we have skydiving, which is actually the first game you would play if you have a new save file. But then we have island flyover. Not much of a sport here, but it is actually the most relaxing one. All you need to do is fly around the island and discover certain areas that have an indication above it. This gives you information on that area, whether unique or identifiable. It's the game that got me interested with Woohoo Island and the one I love going back to. One thing I mentioned back in my Wii Sports Club review was that the game sort of had missed potential. I say that because Wii Sports Resort can be the better option of a Wii U port than what Wii Sports Club offered. It has a larger amount of games, the Motion Plus was already incorporated there, online would have fit better towards how the games played, and if Nintendo really wanted to go big with the microtransactions for Wii Sports Club, well, you can at least get enough games to choose from. Not to mention, the most popular games from Wii Sports were also part of Wii Sports Resort. Keeping the motion controls and the amount of content in mind, this is the pinnacle of Wii Sports games. If you want to play one, you play Wii Sports Resort. There are reasons why people consider the original Wii Sports a tech demo, because the motion controls and gameplay didn't satisfy those newcomers long enough. Was it a little late? Of course it was, but that didn't stop how much I enjoyed this game. Now I am really looking forward to the summer. This was enjoyable for the most part. I know only 3 games cannot be summed up into a series for me, but with the amount of work I have been busy with, I just didn't want it to drag too long. Like I stated earlier, I will continue to look at the series when the time is right. With that said, guys, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all with a new game whenever.